An orphan, 14 princes, and the mafia walk onto a cruise ship. This isn't the setup to a joke. This is the plot of Hunter x Hunter's latest arc, the Succession War. The Succession War is one of the most complex and most convoluted manga arcs I've ever read, and with Hunter x Hunter returning, I thought breaking down some of the larger concepts could be helpful. So what exactly is the Succession War? Well, it's a battle between the 14 Kakin princes to decide the next ruler of the country. It is a battle to the death, and the next king will only be crowned when there is one prince left. However, laws still apply to those involved in the war, so the princes cannot directly kill each other or they will be put in jail. As a result, each prince is encouraged to use assassins to deal with their opponents. This is already convoluted on its own, but it gets even worse when we introduce Nen, which allows for more complex and secretive assassinations. The battle is even further complicated by the structure of the Kakin royal family, the existence of Nen beasts, and where the battle is taking place. The Succession War is occurring on Black Whale 1, a 5-tier megaship with 200,000 people on board that's heading towards the Dark Continent. Each tier of the ship is filled with people. The higher the tier on the ship, the more important the people. So the bottom 3 are for regular people, the second is for celebrities and the rich, and the top is for the royal family, and it is where the Succession War is taking place. The top tier is also a little boat that's inside of this bigger boat, which is kinda cute. Each week, a banquet will be held on the first tier for the princes and their families. Beyond Netero's cell is also on the first tier. There are throughways allowing passage between each tier, but they are heavily guarded by the Kakin royal guards, and there's no way for normal people to get past tier 3. There's even a thick bulkhead between tier 2 and tier 3 that can only be opened from the second tier in case of emergency. The Black Whale is also skewed to protect the rich and important. There are a total of 1,400 soldiers in the top 2 tiers, and only 600 spread between the bottom 3. On top of this, there's also a severe skew of medical availability as well. So that's where the Succession War is taking place. Now let's talk about who's involved. As we already stated, the Succession War is a battle within the Kakin royal family. It is made up of 14 princes, 8 queens, a king, and their personal guards. All children are considered princes regardless of their gender. In general, the older you are, or the earlier you were born, the more advantages you will have in the royal family. The queen you were born from is also influential as well. In general, older princes will have personal guards from the royal family and their own private contractors. On top of this, queens also have guards that they can assign to different princes as well. Every time the king marries a new queen, the previous queen gets 1 additional guard. So for example, the first queen has 7 guards because there are 7 queens below her, and the 8th queen has 0 guards because there are 0 queens below her. The guards assigned by the queens report back to the queens, but they are still required to protect the prince they are assigned to unless there are extreme circumstances. Guards assigned to a prince by a queen may be required to change princes on a moment's notice. As I already mentioned, older princes have their own private guards that have been developed prior to the war, but both them and the lower princes are able to hire outside contractors as well, including hunters. This means most younger princes are only protected by guards belonging to other queens and outside contractors, both of who have secondary motives. And as if that wasn't complicated enough, we have not even discussed Nen beasts. Each of the 14 princes has their own guardian spirit beast that was created during the Seed Urns ceremony a few months earlier. These beasts are a manifestation of the prince's personality in appearance and ability. The Nen beasts are parasitic and cannot be controlled by the princes themselves. Each Nen beast is affiliated to one of the 6 categories of Nen, but the majority seem to be manipulators. It is important to mention that regular Nen beasts are different from these spirit Nen beasts for a number of reasons. Normal Nen beasts are developed like abilities and take months if not years of practice, and these were manifested from a ceremony. For the rest of this video, I will be referring to the guardian spirit beasts as Nen beasts. Now that we've established what a Nen beast is, I want to go over the princes and their Nen beasts. Let's start with first Prince Benjamin. Benjamin has the most inherent advantages of any of the princes. He is a military general for the Kakin royal family, and as such he has a large amount of private guards and military resources at his disposal. He's also one of the few princes that knew about Nen before the Succession War started. He is charismatic and hot-headed, but makes sound judgment when met with reason and information. We do not currently know anything about his Nen beast, and his Nen ability allows him to use the powers of his subordinates after they die. The second prince is Prince Camilla. She also knew about Nen before the war started. Her Nen beast is a manipulator and can control people after certain conditions are met, but she seems to suppress it most of the time, opting to use her own Nen ability instead. She is cold-blooded and ruthless, already killing at least 1 person. She also talks in the third person, so you just know she's going to be a problem. Her Nen ability is a separate Nen beast that brings her back to life after after she is killed using the life force of the person that killed her. The third prince is Zhongli. Zhongli did not know about Nen beforehand, and neither did any of the princes from here on out. His Nen beast creates one coin every day, but not much is known beyond that. The third prince believes that the coin can be used after the war is over and will manifest its power once he becomes king, but one of his subordinates believes that it can be exchanged in the mouth of his Nen beast. The third prince seems to be one of the more reasonable princes. He has a sizable private guard as well as 5 associate hunters. The fourth prince is Suranich. I'm just gonna call him the fourth prince. The fourth prince is probably the most evil prince. His Nen beast is centered around lying, and if someone lies to him 3 times, they will cease to become human. He also kills women for the art of it and is the owner of the remaining scarlet eyes. He is a specialist and he is extremely adept at Nen. He has already developed his own Nen beast, and he has a unique Hatsu that allows him to see 10 seconds into the future when he uses Zetsu. The fifth prince is Tebepa. Her Nen beast is a transmuter and produces drugs within its body, but it needs a research partner to activate, whatever that means. She's mainly competing in the war to prevent her top 3 siblings from winning, as she finds them all disgusting. She wants to cooperate with the lower princes, especially Kurapika, because of his knowledge of Nen and because he is currently a centerpiece of the war. She's another one of the more reasonable princes. The sixth prince is Tyson. Her Nen beast is an emitter and it gives people pleasure if they read her book, but breaking the one taboo in her book will yield severe consequences. So it's basically a cult. She is bubbly and believes love will solve all conflicts in the world. She does not seem too concerned with the succession war. The seventh prince is Loserus. His Nen beast is a conjurer and manipulator, setting a trap and forcing the caught person to cooperate. He is another prince that we haven't seen a lot of, but he doesn't seem too bothered by the war. He likes to smoke something, and he seems like a decent person overall. The eighth prince is Sally Sally. He's dead. His Nen beast was an emitter that created smoke that would make people attracted to Sally Sally, creating a harem for him. A mini version of his beast would appear above a person's head after a certain amount of smoke was ingested. He was highly vain and highly indulgent, and apparently a good rapper as well. He was killed by 2 of Benjamin's guards, and we will be going into the events surrounding his death in another video. The ninth prince is Prince Halkenberg. Halkenberg seemed to be one of the more reasonable princes, but he recently had a change of heart. He opposes the monarchy and he would abolish it if he won. He's hard on himself and those around him, and his Nen beast is an enhancer and emitter. The more people that are unified under Halkenberg, the stronger its power becomes in a multiplicative way. He also has an unavoidable arrow of light that puts people under his control. While he was originally going to stay away from the war in its entirety, after meeting with his father, the king, he had a change of heart and will now be putting everything he has into winning. The 10th prince is Kacho. She's dead. Her Nen beast is a body double that will stay with Fugetsu until she dies or wins. She's outwardly rude and callous, but it is mostly an act. She cares about Fugetsu above all else, and they make an attempt to escape, but it fails. We will be talking about this more in another video as well. The 11th prince is Fugetsu. Her Nen beast is a secret passage that will take her where she wants, but only Kacho can decide where they will return to. She's quiet and childish without much confidence in her actions, and she has a second Nen beast in Kacho's body double serving her as well. The 12th prince was Momose. She is also dead. She was killed by an assassin in her sleep, but we don't know much about her other than that. Her Nen beast was a manipulator that took over the body of a person after they tell it they're free. This beast was responsible for the death of most of Woble's guards. The 13th prince is Mayamar. His Nen beast is a dragon. The beast is conjuration based and it changes sizes depending on his mood. It is a fake room that activates once someone leaves the real room, and it is believed that this fake room was caused by the stress of Momose's death. And finally, we have the 14th prince, Woble. She is a baby, and we have yet to see her Nen beast. Because she is a baby, most of our perspective of her has been from Queen Oido and cute baby moments. We spend a good amount of time following her perspective because that is where Kurapika is. Queen Oido is an intelligent and driven woman. She cares about the other princes, but she wants to save herself and Woble by any means possible. She is also capable of using Nen thanks to Kurapika awakening her abilities. Alright, that's the 14 princes. Are you still with us? We're going to move on to the Hunter Association. They are split into 2 main groups. The Zodiacs, who are attempting to manage the bottom 3 floors, and the Hunters involved in the Succession War. The Zodiacs are trying to make sure that the boat makes it to the new continent without sinking or mass panic breaking out. They are very much struggling because of a lack of resources. And the Hunters in the Succession War are focused on protecting their princes. Major players include Kurapika and Bill with the 14th prince, Bisky and Hanzo, who were formerly with the 12th prince and are now with the 13th prince, Melody with the 11th prince, Basho with the 7th prince, Kurapika's old master Izu with the 6th prince, and Theta and Salkov with the 4th prince. The only two hunters not in either of these categories are Illumi and Hisoka, who we will be talking about later. Now let's move down from the first two tiers and talk about the rulers of the bottom three tiers, the Mafia. There are three main Mafia families that are in charge of the lower levels of the ship. Each one is supposed to report to one of the 14th princes. The Ji-Yu family reports to 3rd Prince Zhang Li. They are the most powerful family, and they earn money through human trafficking and distributing goods on the 4th tier of the ship. Their territory is of course the 4th tier. The next family is the Haili family, who reports to the 4th prince. They create income by serving as an intermediary between the wealthy people on the ship and the black market. Their territory is the 3rd tier. And finally we have the Cha-Er family, who reports to the 7th prince Luzerus. They earn money by controlling all commodities on the 5th tier. As such, their territory is the 5th tier. It is likely that each family has a secret door that takes them directly to their prince on the 1st tier of the ship. The Mafia's main motivation is maintaining balance among the bottom tiers. This means keeping themselves in power, and that's pretty much it. They have done very little to stop the rampant crime and violence that is occurring throughout the bottom three tiers. Because they have this need to control their areas, they see the Phantom Troupe as a direct threat. Speaking of the Phantom Troupe, they are the final faction we're going to talk about. Their main motivation is to find Hisoka and kill him. They also have a second motivation to steal whatever treasure is in the higher tiers. Hisoka took out a contract with the Zoldycks to have Illumi kill him, and he has also been contracted by the troupe to help them kill Hisoka. The troupe is currently split into a few different groups. The first is Phaeton, Finks, and Nobunga. They are currently in the Cha-Er family's base. They want to move between tiers so they can search the upper tiers for Hisoka, and they think the Mafia family will be able to do that for them. The second group is Krollo, Bonalanov, and Shizuku. Bonalanov and Shizuku decided to join Krollo because they did not think they would fare well in combat with Hisoka. The third party is Illumi and Kaluto, and we can just assume they're together because they're siblings. Illumi also has a VVIP pass, which gives him more access to the ship than the rest of the troupe. And finally, Machi and Franklin are on their own. And the final important person on this ship is Hisoka, probably. See, so far Hisoka has been nowhere to find despite spending over 40 chapters on the ship, so it is entirely possible that he's just not on there. It's likely that he is because literally everyone else is, and there are some popular theories that he's either disguised as Illumi or Brillarante, but these are not exactly supported by evidence. Anyway, that's all of the concepts. If you made it through this video, you understand the basic ideas behind the Succession War. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments and I will answer them to the best of my ability. I'll see you next week for another video.